Alright, g'day guys. Tonight we're going to be having a look at Hero Lab, specifically focusing on the D&D 5th edition SRD version of Hero Lab. For anyone who's played around with Hero Lab, you would have noticed that pretty much every game system is modified and unique to that game system. So my focus will be the D&D 5th edition SRD. And we're going to be focusing on how to use the editor to basically go in and add a spell. I've noticed a lot of people are quite nervous about using the editor. It is quite overwhelming. There is a lot of power within the tool. So I'm just going to run you through how to create something simple. We're going to do how to add a spell. So let's jump over and have a look. Alright, so in front of me you can see I've got the Unearthed Arcana starter spells that have just come out this week. So my intention is to basically go through and add some of these in. Alright, and you can see I've already got Hero Labs running. Alright, so I've got Hero Labs running. I do have the editor running as well, but I'll just shut that down so you can show the process. To open the editor, what you want to do is come up here and go to the develop option. Alright, now the first thing I want to get you to do is make sure this is ticked. Enable data file debugging. This is really handy when you're creating content because it means you can right click on things and you can get the unique ID from the things you're right clicking on. Alright, which is super handy because then you get to find out what you actually need to be modifying if you want to sort of mess with something. Not really going to go into that this time, but I just want to make sure that you're aware that if you need to find out the name of something, you do it through the develop menu. Alright, and then you just right click on things. Very handy. Tonight though, we're going to go tools. We want to go show editor. Alright, that loads the editor up. And as you can see there, when you start off, there's not a lot to it. Now you can go file, open data file. Alright, which opens up the standard 5th edition folder. You'll see mine says 5th edition test lab. That's because I've got two versions of the 5th edition game installed, so I can mess around with my test lab versus impacting what actually is released to everyone. And if you are new to the editor, I really strongly suggest that you come along and you have a look at these files and you learn how they're working. For example, the player handbook spells file for this situation here is very educational. Alright, you can see the entire editor has changed when I've loaded that file. And don't be overwhelmed, it's a lot of information when you start off, but if you slow down and have a look at things, it's really quite clear. So we can have a look at the general tab, alright, which has got everything for the general stuff. Background, class, equipment, race, and then Z community. Now you can see there's a 57 here. That indicates that there's things in the class folder or class tab. And you can see underneath the class tab there's sub tabs, and you can see the spell tab is just where all the spells are added, has a number of spells that have been added. So that's pretty self-explanatory, I think. You know, class options, spell tab, that's where the spells exist. If you want to create new spells, this is where you do it. All right, now if you want to learn how spells are made, this is a great way to come in and have a look. All right, you can have a look at any of the spells in here, and you can go through and have a look at them. So we can see that we've got a name for the spell. This is what you'll see in the tool when you're actually looking at the name. We can see a unique ID. Everything in the editor has a unique ID. All right, that's how you react and link to it, and that's how you manipulate it. And you need to have everything being unique. Uniqueness in this case is set to no. You can have a summary test, which is just like a short description. Then you can have the full description. All right, and then we can go through and actually see what schools this spell applies to, what classes can cast this spell. So this is restricted to a bard. What level the spell is available, or sorry, what spell level it's at. Whether it's a ritual, you tick it. Whether it's a spell attack roll, you tick it. Requires saving rate, you tick it. So it's pretty simple. Casting time, to select the right option. Casting time description, if there's something you can put it in there. What components are required to cast the spell. Alright, then we can go into the material components, the material cost. We can go into the range. We can set up range quite easily. The range text, duration tags, duration text. So it's pretty simple. All right, now over here is where it can get a little bit technical. The source of this one is the 5th edition Player's Handbook. All right, you don't actually need to set a source if you're just making your own user files. I'm setting things up for the community pack, so I do need to set the source files. But just know that it's not necessary. You can create your own, and they'll appear in the user content section at the top, where the community pack stuff is controlled with some more advanced functionality. So I won't go into that. Now, I'm going to create my own file. It is highly recommended that you do not modify the community files. All right. So all these ones that you saw in here with the com_fe 5e pack, all right, they're the community files. Do not update those. Okay. Now the reason for that is if you update those, and the next time we update the community pack, we are going to overwrite your changes. All right, guaranteed. There are people who do it, who manually go in and create copies of everything and rename them. If you know what you're doing, that's fine. But if you don't, use the community pack as a way to learn, but then create your own file and make your changes in that. All right, so let's do that now. We're going to go File, New Data File. All right, that creates a brand new one. We're going to save that data file as, and personally, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to save it. Starter spells, I think it's called. All right, so I'm copying the naming convention for my community pack. That's because obviously I want to replicate that for the community pack. You guys aren't going to be doing that, so pick your own naming convention. All right, so I've got the file name. Next, I want to come up to Test Tools and Set User Identifier. Now, for anyone who has played anywhere near the community pack and tried to have a look through here, you will notice that 5C is in the name of everything that's been created by the community. Okay, that's the 5E community, the 5C, that's what it stands for. So we don't want you to use 5C if you're creating your own stuff. Now, the reason for that being is if I come along and put a module in to the community pack, and you've used 5C and I use 5C, when you receive the community pack, you're going to receive errors to say that you've got conflicting names on your unique identifiers. So you need to put something in here that is unique to you, something that you will recognize the fact that you have created it. Okay, I'm going to leave it as 5C because that's what I want to do for the community pack. All right, so now we're going to create some spells. We're going to go to the class tab like we learned before by looking at the other one. We're going to go to the spell tab. I'm going to bring back my PDF. What do we need? We need cause fear. So we're going to copy the name. Let's see if I can actually just put this on the side. There we go. So cause fear. So I can let me do it now. My mouse is just playing funky. Oh, sorry. It's late. I'm just absolutely doing this wrong. Bring that back. That's there now. So we can do this. All right. So what I was doing wrong then is I was just trying to type. I need to create a thing. I need to create a thing that the name goes into. So down here we've got new copy and new blank. If you are, we'll go into the class and spell tab, sorry, new copy, new blank. If you are wanting to learn, you can go to new copy, and you can see here all the spells that currently exist in the tool are here, and you can copy them over. You can see quite clearly where I was mentioning the 5C before. You can see it exists everywhere. I don't need that at the moment. I'm just going to go new blank, which creates a brand new spell. All right, I can put the name in. You can see cause fear is going to be an absolute painful experience for me because of the way this PDF works. So there is a way around this. Pro tip. If you've got Realmworks open at the same time, you can use the Realmworks ability to put it all into one sort of chunk of text, so that can be really handy. I'm going to just open this up in the side so that I can go through that and fix this text up automatically because it's just a nice time saver. There are other methods you can do it. I'm pretty sure you can use Notepad 1+ to go ahead and mess with this somehow. It's been a long time since I've done this though. Yeah, honestly, I can't remember how to do it. I'll just open up Realmworks and that I'm comfortable with. So we'll come back and fix that. In the meantime, let's go through and have a look. So this is a first level spell. So we've got first level. It's a necromancy spell, so we'll tick that. Classes. What classes are available to? So it's cause fear. It sounds like something a warlock would do. Cause fear. So wizards. Wizard is selected. Alright, looks like it's just wizard. That's cool. Alright, it's got VNS as components. So verbal and semantic. It's a concentration spell. So what do we got? We got one action. Concentration. I'm going to copy that casting time duration and put that in there. Alright, so Realmworks is still opening, so I might just go through and fix this. I'm doing this for the community pack, so I need to be quite careful around what I write here. Needs to be different. So I'll just go through and manually remove this. Realmworks is slowly opening. I do have to do an update for that, so that's going to take ages. So I'll just quickly do this. Obviously, if you hang on, if you were to throw this into a tool like this and do a find replace, I'll replace that with a space. There we go. All right. So there are ways you can speed this up. Obviously, different PDFs you work with work in different ways, so they're not all going to turn out to be as bad as this PDF that I'm working with here. It is quite common, I find, for the Unearthed Arcana stuff to be all over the place, and I'm pretty sure it's because they use justification. But yeah, that's all good. Alright, so we'll go back down. Alright, we've got our first level necromancy spell. It's for the wizards only. It's one action. It's got 60 feet of range, so we'll come in here and find 60. Tick that. We'll just type 60 feet. Duration is concentration up to 1 minute. I think I actually put that in the wrong space before. So we'll just move that. Alright, then we awaken and we're good. Now we do need to now come up here and make sure we use a unique name. So SP is the code for spell, 5C is the unique identifier that I've put in. Then what I do is I do 3 of the first word, 3 of the second word, so core fear. core fear, I guess. And that's basically it. There is a limited amount of characters you can use for your unique ID, so having a naming convention really helps you sort of keep an idea of what it is that you've used. And I do need to come in here and set a source. We're going to set a new source, but I'm just going to copy my naming convention again as well. So P5E UCACP. Alright, it's going to click a new source, click OK. The new source window will come up. Starter spells. Just make sure I get this right, because once this goes in, it's kind of in the system and it doesn't like to come back out. Starter spells, yep. Alright, so now I've set my source name. And finally, the last thing I want to do is basically come up here and do a test. So I press test now. Alright, that's going to save yes, this must be saved. I'm fine with that. It compiles it. You may now use Cause Fear within Hero Labs. Alright, so now we'll load up Hero Lab and we'll just make sure that this is okay. I've got a new character up. I'll go into the Configure Hero window. You can see here Unearthed Arcana Starter Spells is now an option in my user content, so I can select that. We'll come up here and we'll be a wizard because it was restricted to wizards only. And the wizard spells, it was a level 1 spell. So it was Cause Fear, but I think it actually needs to be, there it is. Alright, so a level 1 spell, so it's only available at level 1, not a cantrip. So that's the reason why I can see it there. It's available to the wizards, which is fantastic. You can see it's all formatted in the way I would expect. It's got the text that I just put in and it's all laid out correctly. So we can add that spell and now we can add that to my prepared spells. Alright, if I was to change over to a warlock, alright, you can add spells now and you can see that's not an option. Alright, so we can test and confirm that the restriction on the class did work. Alright, so that's it. That's how you add a spell. There's really not much to it. Alright, now I'm just going to run through another one quickly, just because, you know, for educational purposes it helps to see things twice. What we'll do a smaller one. I don't feel like writing lots. We'll do Guided Hand. Alright, so again we're going to go new blank, paste the name. Alright, it's a divination, which is already selected. It's a ritual. Alright, it's got a casting time of 1 minute. That's a first level spell. Who's it available to? It's a cleric spell. And a wizard spell. And a bard. Alright, so there's our bard. I think the wizard's automatically selected. And our cleric. We'll give them a tick. Yeah. Alright, so they're all selected. We'll go back down to our spell. We've got a range of 5 feet. I think range of 5 feet is just standard, so I'm just going to write this in here. Duration tags, concentration up to 8 hours. So it's concentration 1+ hours. Alright, we'll paste the description in. We'll make sure we spell our verbal and semantic components. Alright, then we'll copy the text over and we'll go over to Notepad again. This is Notepad++. It is a free version of Notepad. It's a bit more advanced, which is why I use it. replace all. There we go. So once again, I've pasted in the tab and I've replaced it with a space and done a replace all. Alright, we'll copy that back into the tool. Alright, so just got to get the formatting right, be happy with the wording. If you're just cut and pasting, wording shouldn't be an issue for you. I'll just make sure it's just basically mechanical text in here. Take all the fluff out. Alright, we'll come in here and we'll set our source. I can now select the same source that I had selected before, so that's fine. And I can go test now, click yes. Alright, and I've got an error message. So I forgot to do something. Please choose a valid unique ID. So we'll come up here and we'll go guiding hand with my naming convention. Now we'll do test now. There we go. So that's 2 spells added into the tool that can now be selected by a number of different classes. And as you can see, that's relatively easy. I don't think there's too much of a challenge level in learning how to do spells. And if you're going to learn how to use the editor, I really do suggest that you start off with something simple and you move your way up. Start with equipment, start with a spell, maybe a race if you want to go a little bit more challenging. Don't dive into a class. All right, under any circumstances, don't dive into a class yet. That's by far one of the hardest things that you'll do in this tool. So learn your way around with the easy things and then move up to the different challenge levels. And I will start doing some videos on different elements within the editor. So hopefully they'll be useful to people and they can start learning how to use the tool as well. All right, guys. So that is basically Hero Lab. That is how to use the editor to add a spell. I do hope this was useful and interesting for you. If this was useful and interesting, please do subscribe to my channel. I'll be aiming to put out some more videos in the Hero Lab Editor series in the near future. Alright guys, have a great day and I will speak to you all on the forums.